Hello there. A little unconventional for me to do this. Try- Wish I had a little pocket or something on this shirt. I could put my little speaker thing on. Yeah, so I'm outside here today for this video. So this is, I don't know if I'm gonna say, kind of if it's a summer sit-in or not. It's kind of a little new series I kind of started a couple days ago. Not really gonna be sitting too much for this one. Well, it probably will be for my niece. But so I'm actually out here to cut some bamboo stuff that's growing back up here for my dad. Didn't have to do this, just offered to. Just trying to be a little helpful, and plus I know I hadn't really had the most amount of luck so far with getting information back on any sort of jobs or anything like that I've been applying for. So I need something if I want to, be able to have enough for, my time later this year when I'm studying abroad. Actually, I don't know how long this video is going to be, and forgive if you don't immediately see me right in front of the phone here. I might move it around a couple of times as I try to get used to doing this stuff. Make sure to get my mic here, so then that way, you can hear me from further away. That's what I got it for. one of the reasons, anyways. I guess I'll move this a little closer. I don't want to move it too close, but be a little awkward position. But maybe that might be fine. Something like that. It's okay. Could be worse. I kind of wish it'd lean up a little bit, but it's a little hard to do against the slight slope of the hill here. So, yeah, I haven't actually cut. I haven't actually cut any of this stuff in a little while. I couldn't find the small little cutters that my dad had in the garage, so I don't know. I might check again in a little bit. Give my positions a little awkward. I'm trying to kind of remember how I did this before. So anyways, hopefully you can hear me fine enough as is. I can't really test that right now. Well, I mean, I could try to make like a whole other video or something for it, but I'm not gonna do that. So, actually, no, I'm not gonna use that big ass thing. Cut everything. I guess I'll just bring my phone here while I'm walking on over. But, so yeah, it's not too bad a day. Weather's pretty nice. It's cloudy. It's pretty moderate temperature. It's comfortable. There's not really any wind at all. Pretty still. Hear the birds chirping and all that stuff. So I know I made some videos outside here at my home here before, but I hadn't really done it too frequently. So let's see if I can find, turn the light on. Might have helped. That'll work. I'm not really the type of person to really like getting down and dirty and all that, so funny when you say that when I'm gonna do some outside work here, but it's pretty basic stuff. It's not really that difficult. It's just more just tedious or repetitive than actually difficult, which I'm fine with. My dad works with landscaping business, and he actually offered for me to, he's told me, he's not pushing it, but he offered, you know, I could go and work and do some stuff with him, which it would pay pretty well. It'd be pretty, you know, consistent job would really help me out, but, you know, and it'd be good experience and all that. But at the same time, you know, I don't really feel comfortable doing the kind of stuff they do. It's really intense. You know, I wouldn't mind a little bit of going over to different places to do stuff if I have to, but, you know, we're kind of just enjoying different bits of nature and all that. But, I think, is this? Yeah, I think this is it. That should work. I think this little thing will do. We'll test it. Hopefully it does. If it doesn't, then I don't know. I guess I'll try. I don't think that's what that's one for, but if I don't know, might work. Anyways, hopefully I won't need to come back out here too many times. Honestly, I should have started this a couple hours ago, but I got distracted because I thought I was just gonna scroll my phone for a few minutes, but I just kept on watching stuff and all that, and I had a hard time making myself move until it was time for me to eat lunch, which originally I was planning on doing this stuff, at least some of it. I didn't really have any idea how long I'd be taking with it or anything like that, but you know, probably at least an hour or two, maybe 3, possibly longer than that if I really feel up for it. But put this back on here, back on the stand. You know, let me move my other stuff back closer. Got my drinks here. I brought a Gatorade. I don't think I'm gonna need it, but I don't know. Might get pretty thirsty, especially since I'm recording speed and all that. And brought my phone charger out too. Guess you can't really see me from that angle. Move it again. Yeah, I can't wait until I have like an actual media class and shit, and you know, I get taught how to use like different pieces of equipment and all that. But I don't know. Will that work? Might be fine. I don't know. It's not perfect, but move it a little closer. Like probably about like a foot or two. I think that's better. You can see me a little closer now. I get down here, get the cutting stuff. Oh yeah, this works pretty good. Also use to cut some of these weeds. Well, bamboo is kind of a you know what I mean? Non-bamboo stuff we don't want. So this is a super glamorous part of our yard, right between my family's place here and neighbors. So kind of nice out here though. It's pretty peaceful most of the time. You know, I like that. I mean, I don't know when I don't know, after college, you know, I don't really want to think too much about, but I still do. You know, understandably so. Right, I wonder what kind of place I'm gonna get where, cause I don't know. I like being outside sometimes. I'm not like an outdoorsy person, but it can be relaxing. It can be kind of therapeutic to go do stuff outside for a bit, you know. Or just simply to get some fresh air, move around, you know, smell the roses. I don't really have any roses around here, but yeah. Well, my dad would actually said before that he would consider making some kind of garden or something in our front yard, but I don't know if we're ever actually gonna do that. Probably not, because we're trying to move actually. Haven't really had too much success with that, but I'm not gonna say too many details on that. To be honest, I don't really understand kind of stuff too much myself, but I will need to at some point, right? So anyways, look at this digging into my leg there. Hurts. Yeah, I will need to periodically make sure to check back on my phone. Not be talking for too long for battery reasons. Because again, I have no idea how long this is gonna be. So if this ends up being like a 2-hour long video or something crazy, yeah, it's entirely possible my phone might die, and that it was at like 85% or something like that when it started. I don't know. I had to charge my phone a lot of times, a lot more times than normal recently. It's not really that old of a phone, but I don't know, probably somewhat due to at least a little bit, right? I think a little bit due to the fact that you know, that I've used it a lot more than normal, since I don't store it and all that, which is really nice. But and speaking of the housing thing, so I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where I want to live, something like that. Wish I did, but it's fine. Ow. Try to set like my leg down or something. And sit or kneel or whatever on something that's like painful. So I don't know how to do this for many hours. But hopefully it doesn't rain. I checked the weather earlier. It's just supposed to be like intermittent clouds or whatever for the next 6 hours. Something. I don't know how long that'll last, but we'll see. You know, it's supposed to rain at some point, I think. I don't know exactly when that is. Probably later this afternoon. It's like, I think it's close to like 1:30, maybe closer to 2 right now. It was a shame to kind of said I wish I started a few hours ago this morning, but weather's still pretty good. You know, I only have 2 obligations today, so nothing too bad about it. It's a housing thing. I'm trying to say that. I'm distracting myself. So with that, so I'm kind of thinking, well, I mean, because if I could, it could be nice to be in a more like rural area, right? You know, or maybe like suburban area, but it's like kind of close to the countryside or something like that, right? I kind of just, enjoy the scenery, the birds, all the good stuff, right? It's very relaxing. It's very pretty. But then the downside is, again, I don't really like. I'm not a farmer. I've worked on a farm before. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't, but it's not really something that interests me. I don't really love doing outside like labor stuff, which I know is ironic for me to say while I do this, but hey, well, also this is to help my dad out, and it's a nice thing to do. I'm not doing this because I have to. Also feels good to be doing something productive with my time. I kind of did most of the chore stuff and a few other things. Two or three of these last couple days, I had one where I didn't really do very much, and that was because, we had people over, we had church, we were celebrating my dad's birthday, although it was a week earlier, but still nice. I watched a bunch of TV yesterday, for like the latter half of the day and night. So that was nice. Felt good to just, yeah, I mean, it wasn't really anything that hard. Like, it's very basic stuff, like, sleeping, taking care of cat litter, all these different kind of things, but not really too much. But the housing thing, yeah, so I don't know. I like being around nature sometimes, but at the same time, I don't really like bugs. I don't really like dealing with extreme hot or cold. I don't really love doing tons of outside maintenance stuff. I don't mind doing a little bit here and there, especially if it's, on a nice day like this, and, it's pretty relaxed, and I'm just kind of doing stuff by myself, or maybe have someone I'm just kind of joking around with or whatever, for duration of that. But then again, right, so, it's not overstimulating, generally speaking, for the areas that I've lived in. Although there's definitely areas in the world where it could be, but probably wouldn't even choose to live there anyway. So, I'm not gonna live in like a desert or like, Antarctica or some shit. So, but the other issue is, while I know it's like cheaper, somewhat, well, depending on where you are, in the world. While it can be cheaper to live in like a more rural or like, rural suburban area or whatever, right? Few things. So you're also further away from, being able to, do things. Like, there's not really as many opportunities for. I mean, yeah, people say like, oh, not as many opportunities for work. I mean, and yeah, that's part of it. But for me, it's kind of like, well, if I want to have opportunities to, I mean, I'm not really a person who's like gone out and done stuff that much, but I don't know, it might change. Hopefully it does, right? I have opportunities to maybe go to, museums or see art, or, go to, different stores, restaurants, cafes, getting some historical sites, all these things, right? Libraries, all these good stuff, right? You don't really get much of that option. You're pretty limited when it comes to more rural areas, right? And so that's far opportunity. There's not really much stuff to do. And two, the other point is, like, politically speaking, and I reckon I have viewers that are, at least somewhat diverse, politically speaking, that's good. I like that. But for my personal self, my beliefs, my values, and all that, right? I feel like, at least in the United States, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's different in other states, like me on the other side of the country, something that needs to go through the east side than the west, for sure, but nonetheless, right, I don't really see, I mean, I definitely do see people, in this state that I've interacted with, are more, left-leaning, or, whatever. I'm not a Democrat, I don't, that whole discussion for another time. So politics is not the main thing I'm trying to talk to you about this video, but it's kind of just part of the thing, right? So, while I do want to have people around me that can make me kind of like, who I can, engage with, maybe have different opinions on some things than myself. Because I think it's good to get, exposure and meet people who are different from you. At the end of the day, right, I'm not trying to, argue with everybody. I mean, I'm not really like arguing sort of person most of the time, but I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. But you know, I'd like to feel like there's people around me who understand, and not just understand, but they, empathize. They feel similar ways on things that I might. But doesn't mean I wouldn't try to expose myself or see different perspectives. I mean, it's kind of just how it goes. I mean, even if you, even with like, really anything, you're bound to disagree on something, right? With just about anyone, right? I don't think anyone perfectly 100% shares their opinions with anyone else, but that's okay. And that's life. You work with it, work around it. And you learn, you grow. You make the best of it. All the good stuff, right? So, anyway. But politics thing aside there, right? So, kind of just things that the whole housing issue thing. Plus, they're also really expensive. And oh yeah, the other part I forgot to bring up. I totally should have. I don't know how I forgot to. Normally be a little better about it, but whatever. It's not really pressure too. I'm just cutting bamboo outside, so because I want to. Little fly on my hand here. The whole transportation issue, and there isn't really too places here in the United States. I'm not gonna lie. There's one of the places I'd like to see, right? But I don't really want to drive, and I also don't really want to just be. I wouldn't mind it on occasion, maybe, but I don't know. The thought of me trying to hire someone to drive me around, like in an Uber or whatever. I've never used it before, so I don't actually know what it's like to do so, but nonetheless. Anyway, bugger. So, I kind of just think, I prefer to either just be an easy walking distance, anything I need. Or if I can't do that, or at least not entirely, have the option to, take a train, or something like that, kind of public transportation, right, or a bus or whatever, because I don't feel comfortable dealing with, I know I could probably just get used to my practice or whatever, but nonetheless, right, I don't really want to deal with the whole debacle of, trying to figure out how to pay for parking and, determine where I'm going to park and kind of, pay for, oil change, or pay for oil, gas, paying for all the repairs and the insurance, and there's just a lot of stuff, right? And to me, it's just like, if I don't want to think about it, if I can reduce the amount of practical issues that I have to think about, that would be much preferred, right? I just prefer to have something that, it works, it's clean, it's safe, it's convenient, right? And so much in this country, you have to just drive to get around everywhere, and I know there's some cities that have that have the public transportation ever, but from what I've heard, some of those can be quite dirty, you know, and they also have a lot of really unsafe areas, a lot of cities, you know, a lot of, you know, pickpockets or gun violence or, you know, other kind of stuff. So, I mean, I know sometimes, you know, probably likely to have, you know, maybe higher crime rates and all that in the city, so that's kind of how it goes. But, you know, more people. But, nonetheless, neither option really sounds too appealing. So, I mean, I think I talked about it before at least a little bit, but I mean, you know, there's been several different places that I've considered at least at some point, sometime. You know, oh, maybe I might want to, you know, live there or something. And honestly, I probably should just try to, you know, travel to different places, all that, you know, for fun or for kind of study or something, you know, or whatever. And or as an experiment, I don't know, whatever the case might be. Although it can be a lot of money and time, try to figure it all out, you know. Nonetheless, right, kind of just experiment or have study or something where I, you know, go and go to all these different places and kind of see what I think I'd like, you know, see what I would feel best, most comfortable with, that I would enjoy, and that I feel like, you know, I mean, I gotta think about kind of like, you know, what kind of stuff would I want to do, right? You know, that I have the opportunity to do, you know, in one place a lot more than another, right? And how important that is to me. Right. So, kind of just something for me to think about and whatnot. So, I don't know. Be interesting to see how that goes. I've not really done it for really long here, and I'm having a lot of times where I'm just standing up and all that for 15 minutes. But already, right? I'm like already a little tired. Not like that much, but just a little bit. But, you know, I'm not really used to exerting myself too much. Doesn't mean I don't do it. I mean, you know, when you're on a college campus, you have to walk around a lot, but at least the one I go to. But although I'm sure it's a lot worse than a lot of other campuses, though. God forbid. I mean, the one I'm going to is small, so. But I mean, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what transportation is like when I'm in Sydney, Australia later this year, right? Because I go to the University of Sydney. Right, it's a very, very big university, right? So, but I'm not too worried right now. I mean, maybe I should be, but anyways, so yeah, I don't know. It is going to be an expensive program, and I kind of am wondering now, like, you know, I mean, I think it's a great trip. I think it'll be very fun. I'm pretty excited for it, but I am wondering now, like, a little bit more now than maybe I should. Probably should have done earlier. Where I was like, oh shit, it's gonna be expensive, right? And I already knew. I mean, I already made a whole budget and everything, and you know, I'll be taking a loan out with my school to help cover some stuff, and I already got, you know, several scholarships and all that to help. You know, I was practicing trying to apply for all those things that I could, but nonetheless, right, it's still gonna be a lot, and you know, I'm gonna need to do some stuff. I mean, I kind of saying earlier, I'm gonna do some stuff for, you know, for the summer to get groceries and all that. And I mean, I've been to grocery stores a lot of times, but I've never really like been the one, you know, buying them. But I mean, I'll only be buying for myself though, and while I know that, you know, I'm a pretty good eater, I mean, it's only just me, so I don't need to worry about trying to maybe buy too much food and all that. I already know how to do a bit of basic cooking. I mean, I'm not like far from an expert or anything. There's a lot of, I feel like there's probably a lot of dishes that I like, or these are like, they're probably not really like that hard to do, but they just take a good amount of time to do, and I don't know what my schedule is going to look like exactly. I kind of know what classes I think I'll be having, but not, because I mean, you pre-register for classes, right? But then you actually enroll in classes in June. It's May right now. I already pre-registered for classes like a month or two ago. Did that, but I don't know what. I've heard that the academic standards in Australia are a bit higher than the ones here in America, but I don't know how that's gonna compare with my personal experience. I mean, I don't know, might be fine, but as far as I've heard, the college I'm going to has a little bit higher academic standards than a lot of other colleges. I mean, probably not all of them by any measure, but you know, a lot of them, you know, in the United States. Although I don't know how that really compares in reality. I've not really been to, you know, many colleges or anything, right. But I mean, at the same time though, I kind of feel like while I'm probably gonna be a bit shocked, probably, at how expensive a lot of stuff can be, and especially I know things can be quite expensive in Australia, at least as far as I've heard, where I did my own little research with all that. But I don't know how that's going to compare for me, because again, right, I'm an American, we're also first world country. Things are also pretty expensive here too. So I don't know. I don't know how that'll go. And probably kind of just depend a lot on kind of choices that I make, really. You know, I mean, if you're an intelligent human being, and, you know, you make good choices, like, you know, probably fine. You know, I'm not stupid, right? You know, I have a brain. So, enough about that. I think I've probably already kind of talked about some of the stuff before. Let's see here. Still got a lot of this left. I'm going pretty slow pace, I know. You know, not the best, I know, but kind of just taking my time. I don't really like rushing things. Doesn't mean I don't do it. Definitely have. Probably a lot more times than I should have, or be proud to admit. But not all the time. No. Kind of there's a lot of these little bamboo shoots I don't even really see before. Kind of poking up on the other side of the pile here, underneath all the other pieces here, but I mean, still though, I mean, comparatively. So I mean, yeah. Right, how long ago it was? Probably, was it like a year, 2 years ago? I actually don't remember. Well, at some point in the last couple of years, we had a lot more bamboo. We had a pretty serious problem. The person who last owned this place, they left a whole bunch of bamboo here. I forget if they were the one who planted it, or if it was the person before them, or what, but I forget the whole story. It's been a while since my parents told me, but oh, come on. Is this still recording? Yes, it is. Okay. Well, I don't know why it just randomly decided to pop on over. Maybe just because it got a little breezy, or maybe it just doesn't really like the... I'm trying to set it back up, but it's not. Stupid water bottle. Oh, you're kidding me. And the little mic thing fell out. My phone here. Of course it did. Why wouldn't it? Yeah, I might need to move this back to another spot. Probably the better thing for me to do right now. Okay, the thing's plugged back in. At least not too dirty. Shouldn't be too bad though. I mean, it is a little bit wet, some spots out here, but it's not really all too bad. Maybe, I don't know. That might work. But if the breeze, so it's picking up a little bit, although, you know, still pretty minimal. I don't know. Oh, feels off. Feels off. Why does it keep on doing that? No. There you go, it's a little better. I don't know. That's definitely slanted. It's not a huge issue, but I don't know. I'll give it a few minutes. Screw it. I brought a Gatorade bottle out here. Drink it. I'm not like super thirsty or anything, but a little wet. A lot of people say that these don't taste very good, but I don't know. I've always liked them, except for like specific circumstances. But well, not really specific circumstances, just random times. I would say it's probably more certain flavors, just because give me a headache. We normally have the yellow one, which is perfectly fine. The orange one's good too. I don't love the orange. I don't love orange flavor. I don't love oranges. That's weird. I like limes and lemons. I don't like oranges, but I don't mind orange flavor with the different snacks or treats that everyone has, depending on what it is. But you know, I forgot what I was gonna say. Yeah, but sometimes I feel like the red, blue, and some of the red, blue, and green ones, I think those give me headaches. They have like the very particular food dyes in them. I always get headaches when I have some of those. But you know, honestly, I don't even know why we still have some of those color dyes be legal in this country, but whatever. I don't really. Most of my food is, I think, either healthy or fairly healthy. Not, I don't eat 100%. far from, you know, far from making me sick or anything bad, you know, feel bad. I make sure to eat my vegetables, my fruits, you know, and get a good amount of protein and drink enough water. Right, all important things. You know, I want to feel well. You know, but I don't know. Yeah. I mean, some of those ones really make me get headaches, especially like the some of the Skittles ones. I like the Skittles candy we have here, but sometimes I don't know. It can be, and it can be a bit overly sweet. I feel like, or a bit too. I would say firm. That's not really the right word for it. Not really crunchy. Not really like crunchy. Whatever it is, they're not like. They're not like. I don't know. A lot of candies we have here, they're very easy to chew, digest. Skittles are not hard to digest, I don't think, but you have to. They're not. I don't think they're great for your teeth. But I don't think a lot of sugary things are great for teeth either. So whatever. Hopefully you get what I'm saying. I mean, it doesn't honestly. It doesn't really matter if you do or not, because that's of course that's my most pressing issue that I have, right? Yeah, anyways, if you managed to stick around so far with this video, this is pretty long. I haven't even checked to see how long it is exactly, but you know, if you liked it, if you enjoy it, and you want to see more stuff like this, or you want to see more content like anything I've done before, feel free to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and hit the notifications. I was making a gesture, but I realized I can't even. You probably can't. I don't think you can even see me. I'm looking at a phone from over here. You can't see that is, but anyways, whatever. But you get my point. Hopefully you do, at least. I don't know. Anyways, so I guess one of my questions for you all is, so what type of stuff do you like to do outside? You know, or what sort of do you have any like childhood favorite activities? You know, like any sports or hiking? You know, or you know, uh, sailing a boat, or I don't know, whatever really. You know, going to cabin somewhere or whatever. I think it makes sense to ask that. Pretty much outside of the weekend, maybe too. Probably go check on my dogs in a little bit, see if they want to be outside. Probably wouldn't be too hard to keep an eye on them, but I don't know. I'm a little hesitant since they do like going on adventures and trying to escape the yard sometimes. And if they dig a hole or move or more because they move they move one of the rocks that we have. They work together, figure it out, work, their whole escape plan and everything. And they go on out and be as roaming around the neighborhood or whatever for, you know, at least a couple hours. It definitely had a lot of many hour adventures, but it is a little stressful because, like, you know, never know what they're gonna get themselves into. We don't want them to get hurt. We don't know what kind of people they're seeing, but fortunately, they've, you know, they've been fine for most of them. Fortunately, people around here in this neighborhood are pretty friendly and helpful most of the time. But I don't know, it's weird thinking about neighbors because it doesn't even cross my mind most of the time that they even exist. That is a weird thing to say, I know, but it doesn't even really cross my mind that they even exist most of the time. Like, I don't think, no, it's not actually like anything about, you know, people around here. I have nothing against anyone around here. I think people are nice and all that, but generally speaking around here, but I guess, I don't know. It just, it doesn't, you know, I don't really feel like, I mean, I don't know, maybe there is, and we just don't, I don't, you know, I or my family don't see it or hear it or talk about it or whatever, I don't know. But it doesn't really feel like we have, like a sense of like community or whatever here. I don't know. At least I don't feel that way. I mean, I don't, maybe my parents do. Maybe they do. I don't know. But it does feel a little sad, you know. I mean, I did feel when I was a kid. I think, well, depending on what it was, but I think I did feel a little bit more sometimes. Some places, probably the most I could say would be the church. That's probably been, I reckon, probably the best or one of the best examples I can think of. You know, for the for the whole thing there, but I don't know. It is weird. You know, kind of a big whole jump point of some conversation. Actually, I'm gonna let me check on my phone to see if it's still recording. Okay, it is. Hello there. Okay, I see it's at almost 48 minutes. Okay, not too bad. Although probably would have been a little nicer if it got a little more done by now, but fine. So yeah, I didn't want to jump too much into. Well, actually, it's a lie. I'd say I don't want to jump into big ideas too fast, but whatever. I'm gonna do it anyway. So, you know, I've watched. Excuse me. I've watched quite a lot of videos recently. I know, super surprising. I pretty frequently watch stuff on YouTube. Surprise. But you know, some of the things I've been watching, you know, they're sort of like historical, political, you know, economic, kind of blending all these different things together, right? And you know, a few of these channels that I've watched, right? You know, engaged with a little bit, right? You know, one of the main things that they've kind of talked about here in you know, in the United States in the last couple of decades, you know, or they're saying kind of a phenomenon they kind of say has happened a lot in the last couple of decades here, is that we kind of, not for everyone, far from it, but for a very large amount of people, that this sort of, you know, shared sort of kind of sense of community, at least in the way that, maybe we used to think about it, in maybe like the 40s or 50s or something like that, right? It's not to say it doesn't exist, but it's a little bit harder to find. Right? It's a little harder to, at least it's a little bit harder for people to maybe feel like they are actively like they're engaging in that, or they're a part of that, or maybe simply just a number of people who do engage in things you might describe as like community things to do, like going to church or participating in social services, like donating stuff, or I don't know. There's so many different things. I'm trying to think of. Struggling to say all of them. It's like my mouth has a cue, and the cue just got frozen up, kind of process that. But definitely. Right. I don't know. Whatever it is I'm thinking of, right? There's all these sort of different things that you kind of saw as like pretty common, pretty normal things to occur, right, in society. But we kind of shifted away from that. We kind of shifted away from being, community first, and trying to, and being able to have the time and the energy to, like go out and do things with, with friends and family, with, the neighbors, to be, part of like the local events and all that, right? These things do exist, very much do. But the issue I think that there really is like, well, like, we haven't had, while we do have a lot of very nice things that exist here, we have, a lot of great opportunities for different kinds of work or whatever. I think that we have kind of struggled to allow people to even have the time and the money to be able to, go out and do things for, for fun or communally, because let's say, one, inflation, everything, a lot of the things now are a lot more expensive than they used to be, right? And yet at the same time, we're not really seeing too much growth in terms of, the average, average working class, salary or anything like that, right? You're not really seeing a increase in that to keep up with the cost of things. It has gone up maybe a little bit, but, comparatively, it's a lot worse ratio now than, it used to be, 30, 40, 50 years ago. But, nonetheless, so that's a part of it. Another part is that we've kind of just focused on convenience over, I don't try to think of what the word is. I would say community, but I feel a little like a shortcut to say that, but maybe that works. But what I mean here is like, so if you think about, like, for example, like watching movies, or like where people would be like, oh yeah, so let's, we're gonna go have a trip to, XYZ place, right? Or we're going to, like if you're in college or something, right? You're gonna study together. You're gonna go to, cafe together or something, right? You're gonna, sit down, I'll enjoy, a nice cup of coffee or whatever, and a donut or something, right? Or a piece of bread or a muffin or I don't know, whatever, something, right? You know, and it does exist, right? But I feel like I don't know. Maybe tell me. I'll just say this from my perspective, from stuff I've engaged with online, which I know is not necessarily 100% reputable. I know there's a lot of things that are online are not 100% true in reality. You know, as you know that there's a lot of things I could point to, but not right. And maybe there's something that I'm missing or just I haven't really experienced. Maybe that is a lot more common than I think, or maybe something else that I'm not considering. I honestly don't know. But nonetheless, regardless of the case, so I think we kind of just been like, oh, so we can just use streaming services. We can just get people to be able to buy games on their from online website or from a from like an online store on their on their console or their computer or phone or something, right? And they can just have stuff shipped to them, or they can just have it there. They don't have to actually physically go anywhere to really get other than maybe to their mailbox or their local postal service station. They don't have a mailbox right next to their house, in the driveway, right? And so we've kind of seen things like that where you can just order things to be sent to your house, and it is very convenient. It is really nice. I know for myself, I like not having to, be like, oh hey, I want to get this package, but I have to I have to go onto the store and see if they have anything. No, because now I can just do a quick Google search. I can just scroll on someone's website, something's website, see, oh okay, they have this, they have that, and we just order that to be sent to my house, right? It's very convenient. It's very comfortable, very effective. You don't have to really, exhaust yourself, and it's really nice, especially if you're an introverted type of person, or if you're super busy, right? Or you just don't have, a ton of energy, right? Which I don't think that's an entirely bad thing, right? I don't think that the inventions that we have are, the things that we have, the luxuries that we have today, and much of modern America, right? These 2020s, When I was making these videos, I don't think that's a bad thing. But there are negative sort of kind of side effects or consequences or other things that kind of go along with these, right? That are sort of important to point out or to notice or to put into perspective, if you will. Again, that's just one example there, right? Because kind of talking about movies or games or other sort of forms of entertainment. I guess you could also say, I'm trying to think what another good example might be. Perhaps I don't know. And it kind of talked about the whole wages thing. Kind of talked about the whole entertainment and thing where it gets stuff shipped to your house or your apartment or whatever, right? All that. I've already talked about those things, so I'm trying to think what else. Well, you could also think probably like our sort of food culture, right? We have a lot of diversity of food in the United States. I think that's wonderful. I really like that. I can, if you're willing to, travel around, you can meet people of all different kinds of communities from all over the world. Right? I mean, this is a land of, immigrants. I'm not saying native peoples. That is true, but we killed most of them. A few hundred years ago. But, right, but you can try all kinds of different foods, and you can look different kinds of things up, and you can make your own recipes, and all these things. And that's not exclusive to this country by any means. And all these things I'm kind of just talking about, these mostly apply here. I know there's somewhat similar issues of like cost of living, or or how expensive, just generally how expensive a lot of things are, or maybe sort of somewhat similar convenience, culture, and all that in other places too. But I'm not trying to make claims too much about other places in which I've not lived. But I mean, I really like to. I'd like to. I enjoy kind of thinking about some of this stuff. Probably, although sometimes I probably should or don't need to, or kind of overstress it or whatever. But well, not gonna stop me. But what was I saying? I forgot. Whole convenience thing and plans about living other places and all that. So, I don't know. I feel like there's something else, some other factor or two that I'm kind of forgetting about. But, well, actually, another big one I just remember I was just thinking about is, I'd say it's probably also the polarization of our politics, right? I mean, I do know that, right, when you give people a whole thing to disagree about, I mean, naturally you're going to have kind of like teams or, groups of people, like based off that. I mean, that's just, part of, history, I mean, to say the least, kind of important, kind of a noticeable trend or detail or whatever. In case you hadn't noticed, right? In case you don't know any basic history or anything like that, right? Right. So, and I don't, I don't know how much that is actually true. This is honestly, this is probably all kind of just my speculation. I don't know if I can really definitively say that any of these things are like, yes, that was definitely probably like that was like that. But kind of just what I think, kind of information I've gathered. So again, if I'm wrong, maybe there's something I'm missing. I frequently am. Feel free to tell me in the comment section down below. I mean, if you even watched this video for this long, I really appreciate it. I know I have a lot of long form videos, and I know that a lot of people are busy, don't have a ton of time to sit down and enjoy things. But if you're one of the few people out there who does that, who makes the time to stick around with videos like this, come across it, I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. And and I hope to I hope to engage with people like you. So yeah. I'm gonna cut a little bit more of these, and then I think I'm gonna go try and check on the dogs. I'll just see if they wanna go outside or anything like that. Coming out here because it is nice. they'd already spent a little bit of time out here, but you know, it's again, I don't know when it's supposed to rain. Hopefully it'll hold off for a bit. But I don't know. Can't control the weather, but I can make the most of it. So okay, I got that. Okay, not too impressive, but you know, it's progress. Looks a little better. It's a little better already. So I'm not gonna complain. Not gonna complain too much. You know, again, this is not a job. I have all day. Okay, well, is it still recording? Yes, it is. It is at an hour